I stood in the driveway of what used to be my home, the for sale sign, still swaying slightly in the October wind. The real estate agent had just locked the door behind her. 63 years old, recently widowed, and I was about to find out that the daughter I'd sacrificed everything for saw me as nothing more than a walking ATM machine. It started 3 weeks after Margaret's funeral. I was still in that fog, you know the one, where you wake up and forget for just a moment that your wife of 38 years is gone. The house in Oakville felt too big, too quiet, too full of her absence. I'd wander from room to room, half expecting to hear her voice calling me for dinner. My daughter Emily had been supportive during the funeral. She'd cried appropriately, hugged me, told me she loved me. Her husband Derek stood beside her, solemn in his dark suit. Their daughter Lily, my granddaughter, only 7 years old, had held my hand during the service. "Dad, if you need anything, just call," Emily had said as mourners filed past the casket. I'd believed her. So when the silence became unbearable, when I couldn't stand another evening alone with Margaret's empty chair across from me, I called. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I remember because Margaret and I used to go to the farmer's market on Wednesdays. "Emily, sweetheart, I was wondering something." "What's up, Dad?" Her voice had that distracted quality, like she was doing something else while talking. "I know this might be an imposition, but I was thinking maybe I could come stay with you and Derek for a few weeks, just until I get my bearings. The house is, well, it's hard being here alone." There was a pause, long enough that I checked to see if the call had dropped. "Dad, I don't know if that's a good idea right now. I wouldn't be any trouble. I could help out with Lily, maybe do some cooking. You know how your mother taught me. I need to not be alone for a bit. The thing is, Dad, we don't really have the space." Emily's voice had taken on that careful tone, the one you use when you're trying to be diplomatic. I almost laughed. Their house, the house in Mississauga that I'd helped them buy, had 4 bedrooms. What about the spare room, the one you said would be for guests? It's not set up for that anymore. We've kind of repurposed it. Repurposed it? Emily, it's a bedroom. I just need a bed, sweetheart. I'm your father. Another pause. I could hear Derek's voice in the background, though I couldn't make out the words. "Listen, Dad, there are some really nice extended stay hotels near here. I could send you some links. They're actually quite comfortable, and you'd have your own space. Might be better for your grief process. You know? Some independence?" I sat down heavily on Margaret's chair. Our chair. The leather was still shaped to her body. "You want me to stay in a hotel?" "It's not that I want you to. It's just, practically speaking, it makes more sense. You'd have room service, housekeeping. You wouldn't have to worry about being in our way." "In your way." That came out wrong. I just meant, you know, we have our routine with Lily, and Derek works from home now, and it's complicated, Dad. I thought about the $200,000 down payment I'd given them 6 years ago. I'd cashed out a significant portion of my retirement savings, money Margaret and I had carefully built over decades. "It's for their future," Margaret had said, always more generous than I was. "We can manage." We'd planned to travel with that money. Margaret had wanted to see the Maritimes, maybe rent a cottage in Nova Scotia for a summer. Instead, we'd watched Emily and Derek move into their dream house, while we'd stayed in our same modest bungalow. "Right," I said quietly. "I understand. I knew you would. You're so reasonable, Dad. I'll text you those hotel links." She hung up. I sat there with the phone in my hand, looking at Margaret's photo on the mantel. In it, she was laughing, wind in her hair from a trip to Niagara on the lake. She'd loved that weekend. The hotel links never came, but something else did. About 3 days later, I was going through Margaret's things, trying to sort what to keep, what to donate, when my phone buzzed. It was from Lily, my granddaughter. She'd gotten her first phone for her 7th birthday, though Emily monitored it heavily. The message was a photo. Lily standing in front of a bedroom, the bedroom I'd asked about, holding a sign that said, "Welcome to Oakville." The caption read, "Grandpa, look, Mommy's bedroom for guests." I zoomed in on the photo. Behind Lily, I could see the room clearly. There was a queen bed with hotel-style white linens, a small desk, a luggage rack, decorative prints on the walls. But what caught my eye was the small placard on the door, partially visible. I could just make out the letters, Airbnb. My daughter was renting out the spare bedroom, the bedroom in the house I'd made the down payment on. The bedroom she'd just told me wasn't available because it had been repurposed. I sat there for a long moment, staring at that photo. Then I opened my laptop. It didn't take long to find. The listing was under Derek's name. Cozy private room in Mississauga home, close to airport and downtown. $140 per night. Available 365 days a year. According to the reviews, they'd been hosting for 18 months. I did the math quickly in my head. If they were even half booked, that was over $25,000 a year in rental income. From the room they didn't have space for me in, 3 weeks after my wife died. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking, but not from grief this time. The next text from Emily came 2 days later. Dad, random question. Do you remember when you gave us the down payment for the house? Derek and I were talking, and we can't remember if you said it was a gift or a loan. Just for our records. I stared at that message for a long time. We'd had this conversation before, multiple times. When I'd written the check, I'd been clear. This is a gift, Emily, for you and Derek. Your mother and I want you to have a good start. Margaret had insisted on that. She'd never wanted our help to come with strings, but that was before Margaret died, before Emily had told me to get a hotel, before I'd discovered the Airbnb. I typed and deleted several responses. Finally, I settled on, why do you ask? Oh, no reason, really. Derek's just being weird about paperwork. You know how he is. I did know how Derek was. He was a financial analyst, the kind of guy who tracked every penny. The kind of guy who'd convinced Emily that $200,000 from her grieving father was just getting our records straight. It was a gift, I typed. Then I added, as far as I remember. That last part wasn't honest. I remembered perfectly. But something in me, some instinct I didn't quite understand yet, made me add that qualifier. Thanks, Dad. That's what I thought. Hey, how are you doing? We should grab coffee sometime. Sometime. That word that means never. I'm managing, I typed back. 2 weeks passed. I'd made some decisions. First, I'd gone through all of Margaret's paperwork and my own. I'd found the bank records from the down payment. I'd found the email exchange between Emily and me from 6 years ago. I'd found the text messages where Emily had thanked me for the amazing gift. I'd also found something else. When we'd structured the down payment, my accountant, Harold, had suggested something. He'd said, Bob, $200,000 is a significant amount. Have you considered making yourself a co-owner, just for legal protection? I'd said no. Margaret had said no. We'd trusted Emily. She was our daughter. But Harold had sent me the paperwork anyway, just in case you change your mind. I'd filed it away and forgotten about it. Now I was looking at those papers again. The ones that would have made me a part owner of Emily's house. The ones I'd never signed. I called Harold. He was semi-retired now, but he still kept his hand in for old clients. Bob, I was so sorry to hear about Margaret. She was a wonderful woman. Thank you, Harold. Listen, I need some advice. That down payment I gave Emily 6 years ago, do I have any legal recourse to get it back? There was a pause. Did something happen? I told him. All of it. The hotel suggestion, the Airbnb, the was it a gift or a loan question. Harold was quiet for a moment. Then, Bob, do you have any documentation about the nature of the gift? Any written agreement? Just emails and texts calling it a gift. But Harold, they're renting out a room for $140 a night. The room they said they didn't have space for me in. I'm their father. I understand you're hurt, and rightfully so. But legally, if you gave it as a gift, it's very difficult to reclaim. However, he paused. There might be another angle. When adult children accept significant financial gifts from parents, and then exclude those parents from care or support, especially in circumstances of need like bereavement, there have been cases where courts have ruled the gift was made under false pretenses or with an implied obligation. What kind of cases? Mostly in situations where parents gave money for a house specifically so they could live with their children in old age, And then the children reneged on that understanding. It's called unjust enrichment. You'd need to prove that there was an implicit agreement that your gift came with the understanding that you'd be cared for if needed. I thought about the emails. I'd written things like, "We want to help you build a home for your family. And it's wonderful to know Lily will grow up in a house with a yard." Nothing about me living there. Nothing about expectations. I don't think I have that, Harold. Then I'm sorry, Bob. I know this isn't what you want to hear. But legally, you don't have much standing. The money was a gift. I thanked him and hung up. I sat there in Margaret's chair, looking at the empty house that would need to be sold soon because I couldn't afford to keep it on my pension alone, not after giving away $200,000. That's when my phone rang. Emily. "Dad, hi. How are you?" "I'm fine, Emily. What can I do for you?" "Well, actually, this is a little awkward, but Derek and I were hoping you might be able to help us out with something." I waited. "The thing is, we're planning to renovate the kitchen. It's pretty outdated, and we got a quote, and it's more expensive than we thought. We were wondering if you might be able to contribute, maybe like $30,000? I know Mom left you some life insurance money." "The life insurance money? $75,000. It was supposed to help me transition, maybe supplement my pension, cover the funeral costs, and the estate taxes. You want me to give you $30,000 for a kitchen renovation? I know it sounds like a lot, but Dad, you know how these things are. And honestly, the kitchen is kind of embarrassing when we have people over. It would really increase the home value too, so it's kind of an investment. For you. Well, yeah, but it's Lily's home too, your granddaughter. Don't you want her to have a nice place to grow up?" I closed my eyes. "Emily, you told me 3 weeks ago that you didn't have room for me to stay with you. You told me to get a hotel." "Dad, that was about space and timing. This is different. You're renting out the spare bedroom on Airbnb." Silence. Lily sent me a photo. I looked up the listing. "Dad, that's just a way for us to make some extra income. The mortgage is expensive. You know how expensive it is in the GTA. The mortgage on the house I gave you $200,000 for. That was a gift. You said it was a gift." "It was. But Emily, do you understand how this looks? You're making $25,000 a year renting out a room, but you couldn't let your widowed father stay there for a few weeks. You want me to give you another $30,000 when you wouldn't even offer me a place to sleep? This is exactly why we didn't want you to stay here. I knew you'd make it weird. I knew you'd hold the money over our heads." "Hold it over your heads?" "Emily, I haven't mentioned that money once in 6 years. Not once. I never asked for anything in return. All I asked was to stay for a few weeks after your mother died, and you told me to get a hotel. Because we knew you'd be like this. All judgy about how we use our house. It's our house, Dad. You gave us the money. That makes it ours." Something cold settled in my chest. "You're right. It is your house. And my answer about the kitchen is no." "Seriously? Dad, we're family." "Exactly. We're family. Remember that next time you're deciding whether family stays in a hotel." I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing again. I turned it off. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Margaret, about how disappointed she'd be. Not in Emily. Margaret would never admit disappointment in Emily. But in the situation, in how things had turned out. Around 2 a.m., I got up and went to my computer. I started looking at Harold's comment about unjust enrichment again. I started researching Canadian property law, gifts versus loans, parental contributions, and then I found something interesting. In Ontario, if a parent contributes to the down payment of a child's home, and that parent can prove the contribution was made with the expectation of benefit, consideration, or reciprocal care, the gift can potentially be recharacterized as a loan or as creating a beneficial interest in the property. The key word was expectation. I went back through every email, every text message from 6 years ago, and there, buried in a thread from before we'd given the money, was an exchange I'd forgotten about. Emily had written, "Dad, if you help us with the down payment, you'd always have a place with us. You and Mom would always be welcome. It could be like a family compound." Lily would love having her grandparents so close. I'd responded, "That sounds wonderful, sweetheart. Your mother would love that." Margaret had even replied, "Looking forward to many family dinners in your new home." It wasn't much, but it was something. It was an acknowledgement that the money came with an understanding, a mutual understanding, that we'd be part of their lives, that we'd be welcome. I forwarded the emails to Harold. His response came the next morning. "Bob, this changes things. This could potentially establish that the gift was made with an implied condition. You should come see me. Bring all your documentation." I did. Harold reviewed everything. The emails, the Airbnb listing, the text about the kitchen renovation, the "we don't have space" conversation that happened weeks after Margaret's funeral. "Bob, I think we have enough to at least make a claim for unjust enrichment. The court might agree that Emily and Derek have been unfairly enriched by your gift, especially given the change in circumstances and their failure to honor the implied understanding of family care." What would that mean? It means we could potentially force a sale of the property and have you recover a portion of your down payment, adjusted for property appreciation. Or we could seek a lien on the property. But Bob, I need to be honest with you. This will destroy your relationship with your daughter. I thought about Emily telling me to get a hotel. I thought about the Airbnb bringing in $140 a night while I slept alone in my dead wife's house. I thought about being asked for $30,000 for a kitchen renovation, like I was a bank, not a father. "What relationship?" I asked. We filed papers 2 weeks later. Emily's first call came within days. I'd been expecting it. "Dad, what the hell? Derek just got served with a lawsuit. You're suing us? Your own daughter?" "I'm seeking recovery of funds given under false pretenses and attempting to establish a beneficial interest in property I contributed to." That's lawyer talk. What does that even mean? It means I gave you $200,000, believing that I was helping my daughter, believing that we'd remain a close family, believing that when I needed you, you'd be there. You weren't. We offered you hotel information. You offered me a rejection, Emily. You're making money off a bedroom you wouldn't let me sleep in. That's our business model. That's how we supplement our income. Then you should have enough to pay me back. Pay you back? It was a gift. It was a gift predicated on a relationship. You ended that relationship when you told me to get a hotel 3 weeks after my wife died. Our lawyer says you don't have a case. You'll lose and waste money on legal fees. Maybe. But you'll waste money too. And Emily, I'm retired. I have time. Do you? She hung up. The legal process was slow. Months of depositions, document submissions, back and forth between lawyers. Derek sent me angry emails that his lawyer probably told him not to send. Emily called crying, saying I was ruining Lily's childhood. How do we explain to her that her grandfather is suing us? How do you explain to her that you rent out a bedroom but wouldn't let her grandfather stay there? I'd replied. Their lawyer tried to settle early. He offered me $25,000 just to make this go away. Harold advised me to consider it. Bob, trials are expensive and uncertain. This at least gets you something. It's not about the money anymore, I told him. And I meant it. Somewhere in those months, it had stopped being about the $200,000 and started being about the principle, about being valued, about not being treated like an ATM by your own child. Then what is it about? Harold asked gently. It's about Margaret. She gave that money because she believed in family. She believed Emily would do right by us. I need to know if she was wrong, or if Emily just changed. The trial was scheduled for September. In June, their lawyer filed a motion to dismiss based on the statute of limitations and the clear gift documentation. Our lawyer filed a counter-motion citing unjust enrichment and constructive trust principles. In July, something unexpected happened. I got a call from Derek's mother, Patricia. I'd met her maybe half a dozen times over the years, always at family events. She was polite but distant. We'd never been close. Robert, I hope you don't mind me calling. Emily gave me your number. Not at all. What can I do for you? I wanted to talk to you about this lawsuit. Robert, I need you to understand something. Emily and Derek are struggling. The mortgage is high. Derek's job is unstable. They're doing the Airbnb because they have to. Patricia, They asked me for $30,000 for a kitchen renovation. I know, I told them that was inappropriate timing. But Robert, they're young. They made a mistake. Don't you remember being young and making mistakes? I remember being young enough to help my parents when they needed it. They have a child to think about. Lily needs stability. This lawsuit is devastating to her. What's devastating to Lily is learning that family is disposable when they're not convenient. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then, Derek's father and I paid for their wedding. $45,000. We didn't hold it over their heads. Good for you. Did they tell you to get a hotel when you needed them? You're being vindictive. I'm being hurt. There's a difference. She hung up. The week before the trial was set to begin, Emily sent me a text message. Dad, please, can we talk? Just the two of us? We met at a Tim Hortons near the courthouse, neutral ground. She looked tired. There were circles under her eyes. Dad, I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry I didn't make room for you after Mom died. I'm sorry about the hotel thing. I'm sorry about asking for the kitchen money. I'm sorry about all of it. I stirred my coffee. Why are you sorry now? What? You weren't sorry when you said it. You weren't sorry when you asked for more money. You're sorry now because there are legal consequences. That's not the same thing. Dad, I was overwhelmed. Mom had just died. I was grieving too, and I didn't handle it well. But you're my father. Don't I get any grace? Emily, I gave you $200,000. I think I gave you grace. What I'm asking for now is respect. So drop the lawsuit. Why? Because I'm asking you to. Because I'm your daughter. Because Mom wouldn't want this. That stung. Don't you dare tell me what your mother would want. Your mother wanted you to be kind. She wanted family to matter. She would be heartbroken by how you treated me. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She'd be heartbroken that you're suing me. She'd be heartbroken that I had to. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Emily said, What do you want? Really? Do you want us to lose our house? Do you want Lily to have to move? What's the end game here, Dad? I want acknowledgement. I want you to admit that you used me. I want you to understand that love isn't transactional, but respect isn't optional. Fine. I admit it. We used you. We took advantage. We were selfish. Happy? No. Because you're saying it to avoid consequences. Not because you mean it. What do you want me to say? I want you to have said it 6 months ago. I want you to have meant it when there was still time to fix this before lawyers got involved. Emily stood up. Then I guess we'll see you in court. The trial lasted 3 days. Our side presented the emails showing Emily's promise that I'd always have a place with them. We showed the timing, how they'd asked for money weeks after refusing me shelter. We showed the Airbnb income, proving they had the means and the space, just not the willingness. Their side argued that the gift was clear and unambiguous, that my hurt feelings didn't create a legal obligation, that the Airbnb was irrelevant to the gift made 6 years prior, that I was a bitter old man trying to punish my daughter for setting boundaries. The judge listened to everything. Then she asked to see Emily and me in chambers. We sat across from her, our lawyers beside us. Judge Patricia Morrison looked at us over her reading glasses. I've been doing this for 23 years, she said. I've seen a lot of family disputes. This one is particularly sad because I don't think either of you are bad people. Mr. Thompson, you gave generously to your daughter. Miss Cooper, you accepted that gift and built a life with it. Where this went wrong is not in the original transaction, but in the expectations and obligations that came after. She looked at Emily. Miss Cooper, whether or not your father has a legal case, and I'm not ruling on that right now, do you understand why he's hurt? Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Can you articulate it? Emily took a shaky breath. Because I took his money but didn't take him. Because I treated him like a bank instead of a parent. Because when he needed me, I wasn't there. But when I needed money, I asked again. The judge nodded. And Mr. Thompson, do you understand that your daughter may have genuinely felt overwhelmed? That sometimes people make poor decisions in grief and stress? That she may not have intended the hurt she caused? I understand that, Your Honor. But intention doesn't erase impact. No, it doesn't. But vengeance doesn't erase pain either. She leaned back. Here's what I'm proposing. I'm going to give you both a week. You're going to go home separately, and you're going to decide if you want me to rule on this. Because if I rule, someone loses. Maybe both of you. Mr. Thompson, you might not get your money back. Miss Cooper, you might lose your house. Or I might find some middle ground that makes neither of you happy. But what you'll definitely lose is any chance of repairing this relationship. Court-ordered solutions don't heal families. We both agreed to the week. I didn't hear from Emily for 5 days. Then, on the 6th day, she showed up at my door. She was alone. Can I come in? I let her in. We sat in the living room where she'd grown up, where Margaret had taught her to read, where we'd celebrated birthdays and Christmases and ordinary Tuesdays. I talked to Lily, Emily said. I told her what happened. Age-appropriate version, but the truth. I told her that Grandma died and you needed a place to stay, and I said no. I told her that you'd helped us buy our house, and I wasn't grateful enough. I told her that you were hurt, and that's why we were in court. What did she say? She asked if you were going to be her grandpa anymore. She asked if she did something wrong. Emily wiped her eyes. I told her no, that you'd always be her grandpa, and that she didn't do anything wrong, that the grown-ups had made mistakes. That's good. I want to settle. Not because Judge Morrison said to, not because I'm afraid of losing, but because Lily shouldn't grow up thinking family is something you take to court. She pulled out a folder. Derek and I talked. We're refinancing. We're going to pay you back the $200,000. It'll take us about 8 months to process everything, but you'll get it back. I looked at the papers. It was a detailed repayment plan, worked out to the dollar. Emily, this will financially strain you. Yes. Maybe that's appropriate. Maybe we should have been strained from the beginning instead of relying on your money to make our lives comfortable. What about the kitchen renovation? A small, sad smile. We'll keep the old kitchen. It's fine. Lily doesn't care what the kitchen looks like. She just wants her grandfather to come visit. I set the papers down. I don't want to bankrupt you. You're not. We're choosing this. Derek's taking a second job. I'm increasing my hours. We'll figure it out. But Dad, I need you to understand something. The money isn't the apology. The money is the acknowledgement that we were wrong. The apology is me telling you that I'm sorry, I hurt you, and I understand why, and I'll do better. And the Airbnb? Gone. We closed the listing yesterday. That room is for family. For you, if you need it. For anyone who needs it. Not for strangers paying $140 a night. I felt something crack in my chest. Something that had been frozen since that phone call when Emily told me to get a hotel. What changed? I asked. Honestly, Derek's mom. She called me after she talked to you. She told me I was being like Derek's sister, Lauren. Apparently, Lauren borrowed money from her parents and then cut them out of her life. Patricia said she and Derek's dad still haven't recovered from it. She said she'd hate to see the same thing happen to me, to see me lose you over pride and money. It made me realize, Dad, I was treating you exactly like that, like an inconvenience who'd given me money. We sat quietly for a minute. Then Emily said, I can't undo what I did, but I can try to do better now. The question is, do you want me to? I thought about Margaret, about what she'd say. I knew exactly what she'd say. She'd say that holding on to hurt doesn't honor her memory, but that letting go doesn't mean forgetting either. She'd say that family is complicated and messy and sometimes painful, but it's also where healing happens, if we let it. Yes, I said. I want you to try. We settled out of court. Emily and Derek refinanced their house. Over the next 8 months, I received payments totaling $200,000, exactly what I'd given them 6 years earlier. I didn't charge interest. That felt right. I sold my house in Oakville and bought a smaller condo in Burlington, overlooking the lake, something Margaret and I had talked about doing someday. Someday came, just not the way we'd planned. Emily and Derek invited me for Thanksgiving. Not in the Airbnb room, but in Lily's room. Lily insisted on sleeping on the pull-out couch so I could have her room. Because you're family, Grandpa, and family gets the good beds. The kitchen was still old. The countertops were worn. But Emily made Margaret's turkey recipe, and Derek actually talked to me about something other than money, and Lily showed me her school project about family trees. As I was leaving, Emily walked me to my car. "Dad, I need you to know something. I'm still sorry. I'll probably be sorry for the rest of my life about how I handled things after Mom died. But I'm grateful too." "For what?" "For you not letting me get away with it. For loving me enough to call me out. For teaching me that being family means treating each other with respect, not just taking advantage. Lily needs to learn that. I need to model it." I hugged her. She felt small in my arms, like when she was young and would run to me with scraped knees and hurt feelings. "Your mother loved you so much," I said. "She'd be proud of you for making this right." "I hope so. I hope I'm making you proud too." "You are. What you're doing now, this is what makes me proud." I got in my car and drove back to Burlington. The lake was gray and choppy, matching the November sky. But my condo was warm, and I had plans to have Lily visit next weekend, just the two of us. The $200,000 was back in my account. The legal fees had cost both of us, but we'd both paid them willingly. The relationship wasn't fixed, not completely. Some things take time to heal. But Emily called every Sunday now. Derek sent me articles he thought I'd find interesting. Lily sent me drawings she made at school. And the Airbnb listing stayed closed, because sometimes the most valuable space in a house isn't the one that makes money. It's the one that stays open for the people who matter. I learned something through all of this. Love isn't enough if it's not accompanied by respect. Generosity isn't a free pass to be treated poorly. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for someone you love is refuse to enable their worst behavior. Margaret would have understood that eventually, I think. She always did believe in accountability, even if she wrapped it in gentleness. I still miss her every day. I still sit sometimes and imagine what she'd say about all this. But I don't sit in her chair anymore. I bought new furniture for the condo, things that are mine, not ours. That felt important somehow. Moving forward, while honoring the past. Emily asked me last week if I'd help Lily with a school project about family. She wants to talk about what family means, Emily said. Real talk, not just the Hallmark card version. "What does she think it means?" I asked. She said family is the people who make room for you, not just in their house, but in their life, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. Smart kid, she gets that from Margaret. I said yes to the school project. Because that's what family does. We show up, we make room, we try again. Even after everything, especially after everything, we try again.